All right, good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully everyone's doing well, staying warm. My name is Mitchell Mack. I'll be steering the ship here this afternoon. I'm the Senior Business Development Manager for Collette. So I know the holidays are right around the corner, so I figure what better way to prep ourselves for it than to spend a little bit of time here talking about two amazing bucket list trips. So a little bit about me. I'm not a tour manager or anything like that. So I don't actually go on the trips and guide them. I have to wear a lot of different hats as a rep. I cover the entire state of Ohio and a little portion of West Virginia as well. I'm over in the, or I should say down in the Hudson area. Big props to anyone in the room that has ever heard of Streetsboro, Ohio. Not much going on in Streetsboro. Even people around here like look at me with a funny face when I say Streetsboro. I always just kind of say Hudson area. Originally from Erie, Pennsylvania. Grew up there for 22 years. Especially nice over last 2 weeks ago. I don't know if anyone saw on the news. We were in a basically state of emergency. They had to bring in the National Guard because we got about 5 feet of snow in 72 hours, starting Thanksgiving night, ending basically the following Tuesday. So that was a fun little experience. I was there to see family. But even though I spent most of my life in Pennsylvania, I consider myself to be an Ohioan. I moved to Ohio, lived 2 years in Wadsworth, and then 8 years in Streetsboro. So I do consider myself to be a Buckeye. Lived here the better part of my adult life. In terms of my time and tenure with Collette, I like to say that Collette was my one true love because I got the position as a business development manager right out of college. It was pretty intimidating. I was the youngest one on the sales force by about 2, 3 years. Didn't have any prior experience in the travel industry, but I've been with them for about a decade now. So in those 10 years, I've had the privilege and opportunity to visit 34 different countries. I always like to share some of my most recent pictures. I threw up a couple of pictures for my 3 previous trips here on the left. It was hump day, so to speak, in Marrakesh. We had a chance to ride some camels in the desert right outside of the city of Marrakesh. In the middle, probably, you can guess where I'm at there. Context clues say it all. That's not not in Vegas, outside of the Paris Hotel. That is authentic Paris, France. I was there a year and a half ago. And then my most recent trip was actually in Italy. I was down in Sicily for 10 days and then checked out Rome to see what Rome was all about. And that's me standing in front of the Vatican.
Oh no.
I'm excited to share two amazing
Gotta
itineraries
get
with you
more
folks
people other
here
people. Oh shit.
this afternoon. I have an affinity for both of them. My very first foray over the pond to Europe was actually to the UK. I played soccer my entire life. I didn't like to run, so they stuck me in goal. I was a good, good fit for it, tall, lanky. But our club team was actually very, very good. When I was 12 years old, we went over, did a kind of a guided tour like we're going to be talking about, but soccer version. So we played some local teams from England, from Wales. The only country that we didn't play was Scotland. In terms of Greece, I've been to Greece twice. I've done the exact same itinerary that we're going to be talking about this afternoon, which is the Greece Island Hopper. For those of you that aren't familiar with Collette, next year we're going to be turning 107 years old as a company. So we are the oldest, most tenured escorted tour company in North America, located in Little Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and we go all over the world. For those Wheel of Fortune watchers, the Collette name might look a little bit familiar. We've had a partnership with Wheel of Fortune for 3 decades now. So, whenever they're spinning, Pat and Van are spinning that wheel and it lands on, that travel icon, a lot of times that's Collette that's actually given away, some of those grand travel prizes on Wheel of Fortune. We've sent Pat and Vanna all over the world. It's a great partnership with them. If you're a fan of the Hallmark Channel, like my mother is, especially this time of the year, she watches those Christmas movies religiously. We do have a partnership with the Hallmark Channel as well. If you're not familiar with Collette at all, never heard the name, you have no idea, what we're about, what kind of experience that we offer our guests. It's a premium guided touring product. So when I say guided tour, I like to describe it as, hey, this is thought-free travel. When we get up in the morning, we're not having to think about, what are we going to see today? What are we going to do? How exactly are we going to get there? Especially with the UK, what side of the road are they actually driving on? You don't have to worry about securing, museum tickets. It's just a no frills experience and a nice way to experience, especially, a foreign country that you might not be familiar with. I mentioned it's a premium product. We're not considered to be a budget touring company. We put all of our guests in four-star accommodations or better. So when you look at our itineraries, you're not going to ever see the don't stay here hotel, so to speak. Which I'm sure is great for some folks. Our guests, this is a bucket list trip for them. They want a higher quality, they want perfectly located hotels, and they want quality hotels. So they want to stay in, city center, Apex Grass Market Hotel. This is the hotel that we use when our group goes to Edinburgh on the British landscapes itinerary. So not a bad little view from the dining area. That small little shack that you see up there on the cliff top, that is the Edinburgh Castle. In terms of the touring and sightseeing, we are considered to be one of the most inclusive touring companies in the industry. So what that means for you folks is when you get on our tours, you're not constantly reaching into your pockets, paying for this, paying for that. We include a good portion of the meals. You always have breakfast, daily dinners outside of the hotel into these local restaurants, these family-owned places, because we're family-owned ourselves. We've been family-owned for 3 generations now, so we really connect you to the local culinary scene. We connect you to the local people because, that's why we travel at the end of the day. You don't just want to see amazing things. You want to actually experience the country, experience the locals, come away from the experience feeling like, you fully ingratiated yourselves into the local culture. And that's what we do on our tours. We've been doing it for 107 years now. And there's a reason why we've been around as long as we have. People know the Collette name, they know the quality of the tours that we provide. And I think most importantly, with a guided tour, is the quality of the tour manager. So everyone, no matter what you do, if it's the Greece Island Hopper, if it's the Tuscany tour that is departing next spring with the center, I think we've got 3 people that are going on that one. Does not matter the itinerary, you're always going to have a professional tour manager who meets you in the destination, and then they're with you every step of the way, and they are bringing these countries to life. These tour managers, they are absolute experts in the destination. Most are from there. They've lived there their entire lives. They've studied it in school, so they know these areas like the back of their hand. And they're there not just as your tour guide, but as your own personal concierge. So we like to give balanced itineraries where, yes, you're getting the essentials, the meat and potatoes, when it comes to the sites, the touring inclusions. But then there's enough free time where you can really get away from the group. You can do your own thing. You can make the trip exactly what you want it to be. So it's not just go, 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 go the entirety of the tour. It's a healthy balance of structure and then free time as well. So in a nutshell, that's the kind of experience that you can expect on a guided tour. You're not here to, listen on and on and on about our 107-year history, Wheel of Fortune, anything like that. You want to start diving into some of these amazing itineraries. So I'm going to be presenting on 2 of them today. So I kind of have to move a little bit quicker than I usually do, as than if I was just presenting on one tour, but I will certainly do both of them the due justice that they deserve. So we're going to start off with British landscapes, traveling in the summertime. It's a great time of the year to travel to the UK. You want to go when the weather is going to be the most ideal. Certain countries, especially like Italy, I definitely recommend, staying away from the summertime months. Greece as well, because it is a warm weather destination, but the UK summertime is absolutely perfect. This tour is traveling July 27th through August 5th. So a quick look at the tour at a glance. I'm not going to go too much into detail on here. This just gives you an idea how to read our tour maps and what the pacing looks like. Anywhere that you see a black circle with a number in it, those are the number of nights that we're going to be staying in each one of the cities. Anywhere that you see a gray circle, those are going to be the different day trips that we're going to be making. So we're going to start off in the capital of Scotland, which is Edinburgh. It's considered to be one of Europe's most beautiful cities, and that's saying a lot because Europe certainly has a ton of gorgeous and beautiful cities to offer. But this city is just it's one that's brimming with, history, culture, a fantastic culinary scene. It's almost like this medieval crossroads between vibrant modern buildings and thousands of years of history all blended together. So on the first day, with all of our tours, we consider that, excuse me, to be a travel day. We don't want to run you ragged. So when you get in with these international flights, usually you're leaving in the afternoon or later in the evening with the time shift when you get over to Edinburgh and you land. Typically, it's in the morning. So we give you the whole morning, afternoon at leisure. The first thing that we have included for the group is going to be our welcome dinner at a fantastic local restaurant, typically within walking distance of the hotel to make it nice and easy for our folks, especially on that first travel day. Now, we won't know our specific flight schedules until we actually have people that are booked and that are signed up for the tours. I can tell you, airfare is included already. So if you saw the pricing of the tour, that price does include the tour plus airfare from Detroit. Detroit's a major Delta hub. More than likely going to have a Delta schedule. You'll never see any of the budget airlines on any of our schedules. So you'll never see like a Spirit, a Frontier, Southwest, anything like that. I expect to usually see Delta leaving from the Detroit airport. The next morning is when we're really going to start diving into Edinburgh. And of course, we're going to start off with the crown jewel of the city, and that is the Edinburgh Castle. It's home to Scotland's crown jewels. It's also home to the Stone of Destiny, and it absolutely dominates the skyline. You can basically see it from any point in the city. It's built and situated very, very strategically because back in the day, they wanted to be able to see tens of miles to be able to see potential invaders that were coming to potentially attack the city. And it's built on a very interesting location as well. A lot of people don't realize the castle is actually built on an extinct volcano. So underneath is actually a dormant volcano as well. So when you get inside, you get to see, I mentioned the Stone of Destiny. It's also known as the Stone of Scone. It's a symbol of Scotland's monarchy, so to speak, and it's been used in coronation ceremonies for centuries now. It's located right in the crown room of the castle, and here are those well-known and iconic, elegant crown jewels that the castle is also so well known for. So after the castle, we're going to do a panoramic tour. It's going to be a combination of panorama and walking tour. So whenever I say panorama, as you'll hear me say it throughout the course of this presentation. A panoramic tour is essentially a motor coach. So there's so much to do, so much to see. Everything's so spread out in Edinburgh. It is a major city, so we have to do it strategically. We don't want to run you too ragged where we're doing too much walking. On this tour, you might walk 3 to 4 miles, stopping and starting over the course of the day. And that would be considered a longer day. If you can do 3 to 4 miles, over a, leisurely paced walking tour, you can do this tour, no problem. Same with the Greece tour as well. So during our panorama tour, we're going to see Carlton Hill. We're gonna have a chance to see St. Giles Cathedral. Prince Street's Gardens, which is the most iconic, most important public park in the city. Tons of little hidden gems. And then we give you some free time. I mentioned at the start, an essential part of a good itinerary is a balance of touring and sightseeing with leisure time. So maybe you want to pop into one of the over 400 pubs that are scattered throughout the city, basically one for every street corner. If you want to dive a little bit more into the musical side of things, we do have an optional dinner. This is one of two options on this tour. This is considered to be the Scottish Cultural Show. It's a night of food, song, and dance. So it's a feast. The meal is served banquet style, which are always some of my favorite feasts. Some of my favorite meals, excuse me. This is a meal that you definitely don't go home hungry from, and it's a way to connect with the local culture because you get to enjoy some traditional entertainment. The people will be playing, the Highland bagpipes. There'll be dancers all dressed in their traditional garb. and it's a very authentic performance. So a combination of cultural immersion plus a fantastic meal and a show. If you are interested in adding the dinner and show, it's going to be $130 per person to add the option. If you don't choose to do the option, you just got the night free to do as you please. So the landscape's going to change a little bit the next morning. We're going to say farewell to the big city, and we're going to start to see the rolling hills of Scotland. We're going to start to see a lot more of that greenery that the country is so well known for. Um, we're going to arrive into the medieval city of York. This is surrounded by very historical city walls. If you do want to walk the city walls, it's a nice leisurely walk around the city, gives you a little bit of a different perspective of the city. And it's dominated by kind of the crown jewel, which is the Cathedral of York Minster. So we're going to have time to enjoy lunch on our own. Maybe you want to do a little bit of shopping around York, explore, but we will be exploring this fantastic 7th century cathedral, introducing you to some of that Gothic architecture. You know, you get a chance to see the elaborate stonework, the beautiful stained glass windows, and it is the largest medieval cathedral in all of Northern Europe, considered to be one of the most beautiful Gothic buildings as well. So we'll settle into our hotel. You've got some free time. Maybe this is the second option. Maybe you do want to add a optional tour to a Yorkshire vineyard. It's going to be a wine tasting and dinner tonight. So we venture out into the English countryside, enjoy a visit to a traditional Yorkshire vineyard and winery. They'll take you all throughout the grounds of the winery. Of course, have a chance to sample some of the finished product. They teach you about the growing, the harvesting, and the winemaking practices here, how their wine is unique from wine that you might find in Italy, in Spain, in France, you name it. And then you're going to enjoy a fantastic three-course dinner at the winery overlooking the vineyards. Absolutely iconic setting. If you are interested in this option, it's going to be $80 per person. So next morning, we're going to pack up. We're going to travel to Chester. This is, again, where we're going to have a chance to see some of those ancient walls. We get a ton of history and culture with this tour, which I absolutely love. We get a little bit of Roman influence as well. This is one of the oldest cities in the entire UK. Chester originally was founded by the Romans back in 79 AD. So we're not talking about hundreds of years of history when it comes to the city of Chester. We're talking about over 1,000 years of history, and it has the most complete city walls in all of Britain. Throughout the city, your tour guide will take you to, of course, some of the iconic sites, a chance to see the cathedral, but they'll also introduce you to the Old Town section. You'll find with these tours that a lot of these cities will have a New Town section and an Old Town section. New Town, it's in the name. You know, it's a little bit more modern. It's more recently built. The Old Town section is where you get, that rich, deep history that, these buildings that are over 1,000 years old, those nice cobblestone streets that Europe is so well known for. And then we'll settle into our fantastic city center hotel before the next morning we take a quaint trip to the little town of Wales. So this is going to be the next country up on the menu, if you will. We visit Conway. So Conway is located right on the water. It's an iconic setting. We're going to tour what's considered to be the crown jewel, which is the Conway Castle. So lots of castles throughout this tour, as you can imagine. The UK is so well known for their castles, and here's a great overhead shot of the Conway Castle. Your tour guide is going to take you through a leisurely stroll throughout the town, point out to you some of the best local shops, cafes, markets. So for the shoppers in the room, great chance to do a little bit of shopping. You've got some free time for lunch. And then we take a scenic drive over to the Menai Straits into Anglesey. And so in Anglesey, we're going to visit Halen Mon. This is a family-run Welsh sea salt company. So great cultural immersion opportunity. We love to support, family-run businesses. Like I mentioned, we've been family-owned for 3 generations ourselves, and we always find that, when we take our guests, to these, family-run establishments, it's not touristy, it's not so much commercialized. They get a true appreciation, and it's a more authentic experience for our guests. Afterwards, we'll return back to Chester. You'll have a free afternoon. The next morning, we're going to take a step back in time. We're going to journey through the English countryside, and our next stop up on the menu is going to be Stratford upon Avon. This is the birthplace of somebody very, very iconic, a very famous playwright. For those of you in the room that are familiar with Stratford upon Avon, you probably know who I'm talking about, and that is William Shakespeare. This is the birthplace of William Shakespeare, of course, England's most famous playwright. So this afternoon, our guide is going to take you to visit Shakespeare's birthplace. We're going to have a chance to go inside, tour the childhood home of the famous playwright, learn a little bit more about his life, how he was one of 8 children born in the 1560s. And his home actually doubled as a couple of different things. It was, of course, residence. It was a glover's shop. His father lived and worked here for 50 plus years, and then William inherited the house, leased part of the property as an inn. The inn remained part of the house for over 200 years, so multi-purpose over years and years and years. So we have some time to explore the town afterwards, after our morning tour. Tour manager cuts you loose. They can point you in the right direction based on what you're interested in doing during some of the free time. And then later tonight, we're going to meet again as a group, and we're going to enjoy a fantastic dinner theater performance. Of course, everything is Shakespeare themed and inspired, as you can imagine. So a fantastic dinner and a show included for the group here tonight. Before we bid adieu to Stratford, we make a stop to the university city of Oxford. Everyone knows the Oxford name, of course, very famous, very iconic university town. We get to learn a little bit more about the university, see the striking towers that you see in the foreground that dominate the skyline, before we keep moving into our home for the next remainder of the tour. And that is going to be London. So we check into our hotel. When it comes to Edinburgh and London, especially, location, location, location is everything when it comes to these major cities. You do not want to be on the outskirts of town, where it takes, 15, 20, 30 minutes just to get into the city center. You're taking so much time away from your experience. With us, we put our guests in city center hotels, when it comes to especially staying in the major city. So, what's up on the menu? When it comes to our London sightseeing, of course, we're going to see the Tower Bridge. Everyone always thinks, oh, Mitch, that's the London Bridge. No, London Bridge is actually in Lake Havasu City. This is the Tower Bridge. We're also going to have a chance to see Big Ben. So Big Ben doesn't actually refer to the clock or the tower. The tower is Elizabeth Tower. The Big Ben actually refers to the bell inside the tower. And they call it Big Ben because the bell itself weighs over 14 tons and first rang in the 1850s. And you think about it, 14 tons for a bell, that's a pretty darn impressive size bell. We also visit Westminster Abbey, which is the famous coronation church of British monarchs from, William the Conqueror to Elizabeth II. It's been the site for every coronation for almost 1,000 years. And, one of the most, famous wedding locations and venues was, of course, Prince William and good old Kate Middleton. We can't take you to London and not visit the Buckingham Palace as well. So we do it very, very strategically, where we're outside the palace at the time when the quote unquote magic happens, and that is, of course, the changing of the guards. So you have a chance to see the guards in their iconic pageantry, get to see the discipline, not cracking a smile despite the many attempts of the tourists trying to get them to break. The tour manager will take you all throughout the beautiful gardens which surround the Buckingham Palace, and then we finish into Trafalgar Square, which is one of London's most vibrant spaces, right there in the heart of the city. Some of the Some of the sites around that you might want to do during your free time that's around Trafalgar Square include the National Gallery. You'll see beautiful water fountains, the Regal Lion statues, tons of shopping, great restaurants, all located, either in the square or in some of the alleyways leading outside of the square. Enjoy an afternoon at leisure in London after you've gotten the lay of the land. Feel a little bit more comfortable. This is going to be your chance to take advantage of some of that free time and do, some of the things that maybe you wanted to do in London that weren't necessarily included in the tour. You can only squeeze in so much into the tour. I mean, you could spend weeks and weeks in London and still not see everything. But if there is something very specific that y'all are looking at doing, ask the tour manager, lean on them, use their knowledge, their expertise, because they're amazing at pointing you in the right direction based on what you're interested in doing. And then we always wrap up our tours with a fantastic farewell dinner. Of course, again, at a great local restaurant. It's a good way to put a bow on everything and invite all of you to join us on our fantastic British landscapes itinerary. Now, if time's not an issue and you feel like, hey, we're going all the way over there, I want to make the most use of my time over in Europe. We do have a post-tour extension to do Paris. So it's 3 nights in Paris, again, city center hotel. We switch up the mode of transportation. So instead of getting there by motor coach, we head to the train station. We hop on the high-speed train and we take you on the Channel. So that's going underneath the English Channel. So in less than 3 hours, you'll go from London and you will be in Paris, which is the city of lights. So on the first day, we do have a fantastic dinner. We get a taste of the city's local flavors at a very local Parisian bistro, which is situated right at the base of the tower. So you can't beat the setting. You're sitting there, you're enjoying amazing Parisian cuisine, and the Eiffel Tower is your view in the background. So after dinner, as the sun is setting, we're going to hop aboard a cruise ship and we're going to take a nice leisurely cruise down the Seine River as the city is lighting up, as the Eiffel Tower is lighting up as well. It's a great way to spend your first evening in the city before the next morning. Your guide is going to take you through the metro system. This is how the locals travel. So we want to introduce you to, that local mode of transportation. It's going to be especially useful to utilize during some of your free time. The first stop is going to be it's kind of a hip neighborhood called Montmartre. We're going to venture into the Museum of Montmartre. So whenever we visit a museum, we kind of have fast passes, so to speak, where we're not waiting in line to get tickets and then waiting in a separate line to get into the actual museum. We just scoot right in. So again, making the most, best use of our time in the destination. The Museum of Montmartre, one of its claims to fame is, we get a glimpse kind of into the roots of the art of cabaret and also the lives of Paris's most famous artists. Afterwards, you have a chance to take advantage of some of the free time. The tour manager will direct you to the Champs-Élysées. If you're not familiar with the Champs-Élysées, it is the longest strip containing the most amount of shops, restaurants, outdoor either food vendors or outdoor, little shops, for lack of a better term. You have literally everything that you could possibly want. Anything from, your higher end Louis Vuitton stores, Prada, Dior, you name it, to I even saw not one but two Five Guys burgers and fries, which I was not expecting to see a Five Guys, in France, in Paris, on the Champs-Élysées. The Champs-Élysées offers a little bit of something for everyone. So if you are interested in the 3 night post extension, it's going to be $14.99 for a double, $21.99 for a single. Now, I understand, hey, the worst or least desirable part of travel is the physical act of actually traveling. We get that as a company, so to alleviate some of those travel challenges or hassles, what we do is a hometown pickup. So we actually come out, we pick everyone up locally in Bowling Green. take you to and from the airport so you don't have to worry about the hassle, the inconvenience, paying for airport parking, none of it. Your trip of a lifetime essentially starts from the moment that you leave there locally until we drop you off, bringing you back at the end of the tour. So I want everyone to know exactly, what's included, what exactly is my money getting me for this British Landscapes tour. So the price point includes your land. When I say land, that means your hotel accommodations, meals, tips for those included meals, all of your touring and sightseeing, your transportation, your professional tour manager, local step-on guides, round trip air and tax from Detroit, hotel to hotel baggage handling, your hometown pickup, and then last but not least, transfers are included as well. So it is a very inclusive price. I say nowadays, especially with the boom in travel, if you can find a 10-day tour that's under 4,500, under 5,000, depending on the destination you're usually doing pretty well. We were able to get this tour at a pretty good price point given all of the inclusions in the product. The double rate is $43.99 if you are going solo. Solo is a little bit high on this one just because of the quality of the hotels that we're using on this program. It's an additional $1,000 per person for the single supplement, but it's not like a cruise where if you're doing a cruise, usually the single rate is almost double, what the normal rate is for the price of the tour. So it is an additional $1,000 for single. If you are going single, the single rooms are always on a first come, first serve basis. So I do recommend getting your deposit in sooner rather than later if you are going to be a solo traveler. If you are interested in getting booked and getting signed up and reserving your spot on this tour, all we require is a $698 deposit. That just goes towards paying off your final fare. Plus, if you're interested in doing travel insurance, it's $549 for the travel insurance. That insurance is due at the time of deposit. And the nice part about how we work and operate as a company, it's not a scenario where you pay for your deposit, your insurance, and then you're automatically locked in. You do have some time. If something changes, we understand things pop up, family issues, medical emergencies, you name it, your deposit plus your travel insurance are both fully refundable up until January 21st. That's also the date when deposits are due. That's the date when we lose out on our contracted rates and the amount of seats that we're holding because we do only have 10 seats that are held for the Bowling Green Center. So the first 10 people that get signed up will be guaranteed a spot on tour. Anyone in addition to that would automatically be put on a wait list. So encourage you, if this is something that you want to do, this has been a bucket list tour, that you've been eyeing for, could be years now at this point. Encourage you, get your deposit in, lock your spot in on tour. I'm going to talk about, what that $549 for the travel insurance actually gets you here on the next slide, but I do want to mention that final payment isn't due until April 28th. So you got plenty of time to budget. If folks want to, make periodic payments and installments, you can do so as well on these tours. So travel insurance. Our travel insurance is a little bit different than the typical travel insurance that you might see out there in that it allows our guests to cancel for absolutely any reason. We nickname it the bad hair day policy because, 10 years ago, back in my college days when I had hair up there and I could have a bad hair day, I could cancel. I could call Collette, cancel. You don't need a, medical excuse. It doesn't need to be, cover family emergency, nothing like that. It's canceled for truly any reason all the way up until 24 hours prior to departure. So once that 21st date hits, that's when your travel insurance starts kicking in and actually working for you. So if something happens, you have to cancel, beyond that January 21st date, you get 100% of your money back in cash. We're one of the few companies that does not refund in travel vouchers or future travel credits. You get your money back minus the cost of the travel insurance, and then it covers you while you're on tour as well. So traveling internationally, our health insurance does not cover us. We want to make sure that we have some sort of coverage in place just in case, something does happen. So the travel insurance covers you medically, covers you for lost baggage, trip delay, trip interruption, theft, evacuation, you name it. We make sure that our travel insurance has all the stops in place and that our travelers are covered from start to finish. Passports, little housekeeping here, of course. We're going over the pond. You do need a passport. Now, on this slide, they do put, passports need to be valid for up to 8 months beyond the travel date to the destination country. Technically, it's 6. We like to err on the side of caution as a company. Two things. If you don't have a passport right now, don't worry. You can still sign up for the trip. If you're filling out the physical reservation form, just leave the passport section blank. If you are doing it online, which I'm going to be talking about on the next slide here, again, just leave that passport section blank. Do me a favor, go home, check your passport. If you need to renew it, same kind of process, leave the section blank. You've got plenty of time to renew your passport, though, between now and departure date. Couple of different ways to get signed up for the tour. You can do it online through our dedicated group webpage. After I'm finished here, I will put both of the trip web links right into the chat so they can be easily copied and pasted into a web browser. This is basically your one-stop shop. This is your tool to get signed up. This is your tool to learn about all of the know before you go information like clothing, packing tips, what the weather is going to be like, what to do for adapters, currency, that sort of thing. It's all right there on the dedicated trip webpage. So I will pause real quick and I will open it up to the room for any questions. It seemed like the British landscapes was the one that folks were the most interested in, so I wanted to spend a little bit more time giving that tour some love. If y'all are not interested in Greece and we're just interested in British landscapes, believe me, you're not going to hurt my feelings. If you want to scoot after questions are done, be my guest, but this will be the time when I'll open it up to the room and answer any questions that y'all might have. So what kind of questions do we got?
How much free time is there in London?
I'm sorry, Kinsey, you might need to kind of be the mediator and just repeat the question to me just because it seems like folks are a little bit further away. Couldn't really hear the question.
Yes, how much free time is there in London?
I cannot hear the question. Could you maybe mediate for me, be the middleman? Uh-oh, and now it looks like we're frozen. Hello? Uh-oh.
Can you
Audio on you guys' end is all broken up.
hear me now, Mitchell?
Oh, there we go. Yep, I got you. Oh,
Oh, can you hear me now? Oh, our internet connection is on.
yeah, you're kind of going in and out.
I'll just type it.
Yeah, if you type it into the chat, that might be the most effective way to get the questions across here. Let me take a look. How much free time is there in London? There's going to be a completely free afternoon and evening as well. So about when all said and done, about 10 to 12 hours or so, give or take. If folks do want to, if they don't want to do the Paris extension, you can always add on a post night as well. We can get you pricing on either a pre, the same goes for Edinburgh. We can get you pricing on, a pre-night or a post night. If you do a pre or post, you'll be on your own. So you have to be, okay with a little bit, of independent travel, but there is the ability to tack on. Whenever I travel, I usually like to add on at least a pre-night. Just it gives you an extra, day to kind of ease yourself into the destination, shake off a little bit of that jet lag until the group gets there the next morning. But yeah, at least full free afternoon and evening when it comes to free time in London.
Any other questions?
He covered everything really well.
Okay. Now, if so, we're good. We don't have any more questions here.
Okay.
Okay, good, you heard me. Okay, that worked that time. I don't know what happened.
Is anyone interested in the Greece Island hopper in the room?
No. I don't think we have interest. Then would your sister and brother, pretty child, their brother's house, okay, as well. So they have to be. Okay. So, we still want to run through it, just in case since we posted it on our YouTube. The voice information for those that may be interested, if you just want to run through it.
You're more than welcome to, but I don't think there'll be any questions we'll have for it.
I'm sorry, what was that? You were very, very muffled and broken up.
I don't know what's going on with our computer.
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't
just
know
saying,
what it is.
we don't have any interest here in the room, but if you still want to run through it since we posted it on our YouTube, that way if people are interested in it, they can look at this video. That may answer some questions that they have, but I don't think we'll have questions after the Greece one. But
Okay, all right. Yeah, no worries. I'll run through it a little bit quicker then, but I'll show all the pictures, what we're going to be doing high level, what we're going to be seeing as well.
okay, awesome.
So, yep, we'll transition right into our Greece Island hopper and our most popular tour. It seems like I shouldn't say most popular. I should say the tour that we've seen the most growth with as a company the last 2 years. And for some reason, now I'm frozen on my, oh, there we go. All right, and for good reason. The Greek islands are absolutely spectacular, and this tour goes at the perfect time of the year. I mentioned at the beginning, you definitely don't want to go in the heart of the summer, especially with Athens. It's overly hot. The crowds are almost unbearable. This tour travels in the fall, which is my favorite time of the year to travel. Going September 30th through the 10th. Weather is you cannot beat the weather. You're in the 70s, could touch the 80s even during the day. So perfect touring weather, perfect beach weather, which is what you want for the Greek islands. This tour, very, very leisurely paced. You start in Athens, do 2 nights in Athens, then you make your way via ferry to Mykonos, 3 nights in Mykonos, 3 nights in Santorini. The big advantage of this tour is that you see a lot of Mediterranean cruises, Greek island cruises, and everything, which is great. I mean, the concept is fantastic. You unpack once, and then your hotel is basically the floating ship for 7, 10 days, whatever the case is. But the problem with it is, especially nowadays, Mykonos and Santorini have become so popular and so mainstream that the word is out, and there's so many tourists that are coming into both of the islands. So when you're on a cruise, basically the concept is you dock in Mykonos, you dock in Santorini. It's a mad dash off the ship. There's other ships that are disembarking as well. So thousands of people are all rushing into these little island towns at the exact same time. So the crowds can be almost unbearable. Great part about this tour is once the day is done and those people leave Santorini, they leave Mykonos, they get back on the ship, our guests basically feel like, hey, we've got our own island paradise back to ourselves. But before we get to those islands, the tour begins in the capital city of Athens, arguably a city that has some of the deepest history in the entire world. We stay at the Titania Hotel in Athens at both ends of the trip. Amazing location, 8-minute drive to the Acropolis, 20-minute walk depending on your pacing. Here's the inside of the hotel. Very sleek, very modern, very comfortable. And there's the back view from the balcony of the hotel. If you're not familiar with that lit up monument, that is the Acropolis, which you can see noon or night. Nice little spot to enjoy a nice drink as the sun goes down and they light up the Acropolis. Speaking of the sun going down on the first day, just like the British Landscapes tour, only thing that we have planned is a fantastic welcome dinner. It's an amazing experience. I've done this welcome dinner twice now as a rep. We did it at the same exact restaurant as well. It's just a little hole in the wall taverna in La Plaka district. Plaka district is the old town section, so you'll see locals, tourists alike. A little bit less touristy though than the mainstream section. So after a fantastic Greek meal, We're going to meet up with a local expert. We're going to enjoy a fantastic panorama tour to see all that Athens has to offer. So some of the main highlights that we're going to see on the bus tour include the Temple of Zeus, the Royal Palace, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Olympic Stadium. And, if you're interested in some of the history, the Temple of Zeus was built in 174 BC, over a span of 300 years. So, I mean, this temple, in its heyday, was absolutely massive. And this is what's left standing here today. It was one of the largest temples built in ancient times. Um, when it was originally built, the temple itself, more than 100 columns, almost 60 feet high. We'll take a comprehensive tour as well of the Acropolis. This is the crown jewel built in the 5th century BC, and it's home to one of the most famous archaeological sites overlooking the city, and that is the Parthenon. It's also home to the Temple of Athena Nike. The two, latter two buildings, they were built in honor of Athena. You learn a lot about Greek mythology, the Greek gods, goddesses, throughout the tour. I think it's always pretty interesting to dive, a little bit deeper into that Greek mythology. I included some of my own photos here. This was one of my photos that I took last time I was up at the Parthenon. They are trying to restore it, but it's a painstaking process. It takes years and years and years. Marble isn't the easiest material to work with, and it's also very, very expensive. So wherever you see, on these columns, you'll see the different shades, real white shades of marble and then real worn, tanner shades of marble. Those tanner shades, that's marble from the original Parthenon, and then they've intertwined and weaved in, more modern, of course, forms of marble when they've been rebuilding the Parthenon. Here's a zoomed out view to give you a little bit better idea of the full scale and scope of it. And, it's where's Waldo? There's Mitch right in front there. So I mentioned we're going to be traveling by ferry. We do board a ferry and we make our way to Mykonos, which is going to be our first island paradise. We're going to see that crystal clear blue Aegean Sea. As we settle into our home, which is going to be Mykonos for the next 3 nights of the journey. Mykonos holds a place in Greek mythology for sure. You've got a little bit of, Italian influence as well. The picture that I'm showing here is considered to be Little Venice, located right there on the water. It's home to sandy beaches, seaside cafes, street musicians. If nightlife is your thing, never-ending nightlife, and of course, these iconic whitewashed buildings that the island is so well known for. So we check into our little shack that we use on this tour. It's a fixer-upper, come October next year, it's going to look a little bit something more like this. This is the San Marco Hotel. We're considered to be a 4-star tour operator, but this is one of our properties that is a lot closer to a 5-star rated hotel. So you can see, very modern, very sleek. It's got all the amenities that we're used to as American tourists, but it is absolutely a hotel with a view. When you open up your balcony, the Aegean Sea is literally your backyard, and they have a fantastic swim up infinity pool as well, again, overlooking the Aegean Sea. And this is literally what we wake up to every single morning when we're on tour on this Greek island hopper. Tonight on the island, your first night in Mykonos, we enjoy a fantastic welcome dinner to Mykonos, if you will. Some of the Greek foods that you can expect to see are, moussaka, which is this creamy dish made of spiced meat, either beef or lamb. You'll see tons of lamb throughout this tour. It's cooked in tomato sauce and then layered it. So they layered it, with this amazing fried eggplant. It's very, very good stuff. Souvlaki, or gyros as we call them, gyros. With tzatziki sauce, Greek meatballs, Greek salad, which is, this nice refreshing salad comprised of cucumbers. Traditionally, throw some olives in there, tomatoes, and then a big hunkin', piece of feta cheese, all drizzled in olive oil. It's very, very good stuff. Greek spinach pie, which I never thought spinach pie, that I'd be proponent for spinach pie, but it's actually very tasty. And then, of course, you gotta have dessert. There's no sugar, calories, carbs in any of it, so don't worry, have seconds. This baklava is made of dough, walnuts, and then honey syrup, so very sweet treat. Then you got to have something to wash everything down with. The alcohol of choice is ouzo. So if you're unfamiliar with ouzo, basically you got to have taste buds for black licorice because it does have that black licorice taste to it, but that is the local liquor of choice when it comes to Mykonos and Greece in general. So we do include an entire free day on each one of the islands. So it is a lot more leisurely paced, I'd say, than the British Landscapes tour. If you want to, just hang out, veg out by the pool, read a book, enjoy a nice cocktail, take in, some of that great Mykonos weather, you got the ability to do so. Maybe you want to head down to the beach, you have the ability to do so. If you're more of a fan of structure, you want to dive a little bit deeper into the culinary scene, we've got an option called the Flavors of Mykonos tour. So we're going to learn about the traditions and history of cheese making during this tour. It's a local art form. We're going to visit a traditional family-run restaurant and company. They're going to dive a little bit deeper into this local art form of cheese making, teach you some of the secrets that have been passed down generation through generation. Of course, always on these food tours, sample, various cheeses, freshly made yogurts, and it's all produced right at the restaurant, which is located on this family-run farm. Really cool experience. And then afterwards, we're going to visit a local bakery in Choya. So Choya is located in Mykonos's Old Town section. This local bakery, again, family-owned for 3 generations. They've been producing, these amazing like pizzas, croissants, you name it, all produced in the wood fire oven here for more than 2 centuries. So the cost of this option is $119 per person. It lasts a little over 7 hours. So in terms of the length of time compared to the cost, you're getting a pretty good bang for your buck. Because it's not just a food tour, it's also a tour of, some of the areas of Mykonos that we don't see on the main portion of the tour. Mykonos is one of the islands that is a little bit more leisurely than Santorini because the next day is another day of leisure. So again, you can make it as structured or as leisurely as you want. If you do want to add an option, we do have the option to do Apollo's Sacred Island, and that's where we take you to the ancient island of Delos. It's a half-day excursion, and this is considered to be the birthplace of both Apollo and Artemis. So we get there by private boat. It's a quick little 30-minute private boat, which takes us to the island. We disembark the boat, and then we walk by foot and take a tour of the house of Dionysius, which is what you see in the picture here. This 4th century BC that we're talking about. And it contains these beautiful, beautiful, ancient mosaics, extremely well preserved columns, given how old they actually are. Almost hard to wrap your mind around. These columns are so well preserved and they're, 2,000 years old. So when you're going in, you pass by the statue of Cleopatra right at the entrance and before continuing on to the House of Trident. We also take you to the Theater of Delos, which was built in the year 300 BC. We end at the temples of both Apollo and the Temple of the Sacred Lake. So I mentioned this is a half-day excursion. The cost is $149 per person. Of course, includes the tour, includes all your transportation and everything. Next up, we are going to wave goodbye to Mykonos, and the next stop on the menu is going to be the incredible island of Santorini. The Santorini is well known for their breweries, cycladic dining, amazing artists, and of course, your black sand beaches created from the volcanic activity over the years. Check into the San Marco Hotel, which is going to be our home for 3 nights on this tour. Again, a little bit closer to a 5-star rated experience, resort and spa. I always got to show off the little pool that's offered here at the hotel. Very much open air concept throughout the lobby area. It's absolutely fantastic property. Here's a view of one of the rooms. And for anyone that's ever been to Pompeii, we've got a touring experience that's very similar to going and visiting the ruins, and that is visiting the ancient site of Akrotiri. This is one of the most important prehistoric settlements found anywhere in the Eastern Mediterranean. This is where, the history of the island really, reveals itself to us. The only difference, concept-wise between Pompeii and Akrotiri is Pompeii is this almost outdoor, museum that you're walking through the civilization. Because of the winds, because of the weather coming in through Santorini, a little bit harder to preserve it. So this ancient site and civilization is all housed inside, but this is known as the Minoan Pompeii. It was once a flourishing town destroyed by a volcano around 1450 BC. So we're talking over 3,400 years of history. But just like Pompeii, the city was covered, with the volcanic ash, which preserved them extremely, extremely well. And but un so they say that, without the uncovering of Akrotiri, we would have had no idea, about this ancient Minoan civilization that once called the island of Santorini home. It really gave us one of the clearest looks that we could possibly have into what life was like during that civilization 3,400 years ago. Then the guide takes you up to the most famous, the most iconic town, which is the town of Oya. This is where you get those whitewashed buildings. The town is located and built right on the cliffs, again, overlooking the Aegean Sea. Here you're going to have the best views of the caldera in the area. Yeah, we're also going to be up here to enjoy a fantastic sunset over the caldera later in the day. But I mentioned those whitewashed buildings, with especially with the blue, domes on top of the buildings. Here is yours truly up at the town of Oya. And here is a little shot of what this miserable, miserable sunset looks like. This was one of the photos that I personally took. You can kind of guess this area because of that volcanic activity. It's perfect for wine production. So it would be a crime not to take you to a fantastic local winery. And this winery is a very unique setting in that it is literally built inside it's built in a cliff. So they carved out an area of this cliff and they built this winery right inside the cliff. And here's what the view actually looks like. So this is me, for context. This is me sitting right on the edge at one of the outdoor seating areas, enjoying a nice glass of Santorini wine. If you look very, very closely, I know the picture a little bit blurry. I took this back in like 2015, and you look at the huge ship. Those are cars down there on the road, and they are all waiting to actually pull up and pull onto the ship because that is how the locals actually get island to island. They pull up on, inside these huge ferries. So you actually physically pull your car onto the ferry, and the ferry takes you to the next island. Rest of the evening is going to be at leisure. So again, plenty of free time between Mykonos and Santorini. The next day is going to be completely free in Santorini. So again, you can make it as leisurely or structured as you'd like. This is going to be the last option that we offer, and that's the island hopping and sunset cruise. It's going to be basically an all-day event. So we take you to a couple different locations. I mentioned the caldera a couple of times. It is a still active volcano. So our first stop that the cruise ship takes you to, and it's it's a private Collette only cruise ship. We're basically just going island to island, seeing some of the little smaller areas, stopping at some of the geothermal pools. If you want to get out and swim in those geothermal pools, you have the chance to do so throughout. The guide walks you up to the caldera. This was another personal photo that I took. Caldera is if you're unfamiliar, it's an underground volcano. So if you're thinking, Mitch, this doesn't look like a volcano, usually they go the other way. So the volcano is underneath. But you can tell it is still active because when we were up there, there's actually smoke. You look down into the middle of the basin, there's actually smoke that's coming out from the ground. I mentioned, there's numerous hot springs around. You can jump in, enjoy the warmth of some of those hot springs. When we're on the ship, we enjoy a Greek buffet on board the ship. So your meals are on the ship. There's drinks available on the ship as well, whether it be water, soda, alcohol, you name it. If you look very closely in the background, you look at the mountains, there's it almost looks like there's snow capped on top of the mountains. Those are actually buildings, those whitewashed buildings that are built right on the top and sides of the mountains and cliffs. And then after our meal on the ship, we make a stop close to Oya. It's a perfect sunset location to enjoy the surrounding area as the sun goes down. Great way to wrap up an amazing day of island hopping. And if you are interested in the island hopper option, it's $179 per person. And that's how we basically wrap everything up between Santorini and Mykonos. We take a short little flight back to Athens. We check into our hotel by the airport. We have a fantastic farewell meal, and it's a perfect way to put a bow on everything and wrap the trip up on a good note. So, want everyone to know what the price point is as well, just like we talked about for the British landscapes. Price point for our Greece Island Hopper is $57.99. Same exact single supplement as British Landscapes, extra 1,000 for the single, and then we do have triples available on this tour. We did not for the British Landscapes. Anyone going as a triple is $57.49. Same exact inclusions, your land, round trip airfare, and tax from Detroit. The only difference really is an inner flight. There's an inner flight included on this tour. So inner pricing includes your inner flight as well as everything that I mentioned before, air from Detroit, transfers, hotel to hotel baggage handling, your hometown pickup, taking you to and from the airport. And then the important dates to make note of here, deposit plus insurance on this tour are fully refundable up until April 1st on this one. So you got a little bit more time on this one. Same exact amount of seats that are being held, 10 seats, and then final payment. Looks like I had the wrong final payment on there. Final payment is going to be due 3 months prior to departure. Same price for the deposit, same price for the insurance, $698 for the deposit, and then $549 for the insurance. I know that was a lot of information. Hopefully it was good, useful information. Maybe just a little mental vacation if, the Greece Island Hopper wasn't on you folks' list, but, hey, anytime I can talk about a warm weather destination, especially this time of the year, I love the chance to do so. So I will open it up to, any questions that y'all in the room might have, or Karen, if you have a question on the call, I'll address any questions. If we don't have any, class will be dismissed. So we got any questions?
Got any questions? No?
Okay, no, they said you're very informative, so they don't have any questions.
Okay, good, good. Well, I will let everyone get going. Hopefully everyone has a fantastic weekend and happy holidays to you folks.
To you as well, Mitchell. Hopefully, you guys don't get a crazy amount of snow or anything like that, and you have safe travels if you have to travel for the holidays.
Oh yeah, going right back to Erie, Pennsylvania. I didn't learn my lesson the first, 5 feet of snow the first time around. So, yeah, hopefully,
No,
we keep it under, maybe 2 feet this time. So should be good.
fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you, you too.
Yep, bye-bye.
Like walking or taking the bus. We took, I was there